how ridiculous what joke was. I'm just saying कि वो अगर मेरी आवाज आपसे ज्यादा जोर से आएगी तो बोलेंगे औरत को खामोश कर रहे हैं.
ठीक. आपकी आवाज मेरी आवाज से ज्यादा जोर से आ ही नहीं सकती.
अच्छा ठीक है, सही है.
ठीक है.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी. Welcome back to the second episode of P.S. I Hate You, the podcast where we hope to hate and to educate, not necessarily in that order, though hopefully always do it in some manner.
Yeah, hopefully we accomplish something.
I mean,
either or, I'll take it. I will take it. I am not picky. Audience, I Bismillah.
आप हमारी मेहमान है. नहीं. What did we want to talk about today?
Okay, so here's the thing. ठीक है? At the time that this happened, I wasn't doing this, and so I didn't get a chance to say
these things.
I attempted to with a friend. We were doing an Instagram live.
Okay.
But then it is such a heated topic, or like rather it gets people so heated that we actually had a fight on Instagram live, and then
you and your friend had a fight on it?
Me and my friend had a fight on Instagram live about this nonsense, and then I turned off like the thing. ठीक है?
You walked out of Instagram live?
I walked out of Instagram live. I tore the paperwork. Walked
full
out.
Bhutto style. Instagram live walkout.
I threw it in the air and whatever.
Sure.
But the point is, I know that it's been, so we're in a new year. It's a new decade.
Yes.
I shouldn't care about this.
I mean, yeah.
But I do.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, can we?
That Game of Thrones finale. I'm not over this.
You're not over it?
We're not over it.
Okay.
We are not here for it.
Okay.
It is not done with.
Okay, all right.
Okay. And
as far as spectacles go.
No. Here's my thing. Game of Thrones as a whole was a bit of a spectacle.
Yes.
You didn't have to urinate over anything that people ever found appealing about it in order to get shock value. And I will never forgive the two gentlemen that have produced this show. Because, see, here's my thing.
Yes.
People are just like, oh, what do you expect them to be as good of, writers as George R. R. Martin? No. But if you tell the story, if you are true to your story, you don't have to be a genius.
Yeah, the dude already did the work.
There you go.
Yeah, he's done writing
right?
it.
No, I mean it in even a more sort of general sense of that statement, which is that if you tell a story truthfully, honestly, and are honest to that story, you do not then need to be a genius in terms of conceptualizing, wonderful, fantastical worlds and coming up with new languages and this, that, and the other. The simplest story told well is still effective.
Yes.
We spoke about KGF last time.
We did.
Need I repeat myself?
No, you.
It's a phenomenon.
It is?
It's not rocket science. Do we care?
No.
Are we not entertained?
We
are entertained.
So I was entertained with the finale for this as well. I was like, oh, she burned everyone, dragons, and then Bran's like, yeah, I'll take it from here, and Sansa's like,
see, but
that's just Sansa's acting.
That's my concern though. The characters were not behaving like themselves throughout. Okay, in all honesty, from what I understand, George R. R. Martin was not the screenplay was not directly coming from him post, I think, season 5. That's when he stopped.
Even the screenplay?
Yeah. Because
he wouldn't even have to greenlight it anymore?
No, in the sense that he still consults, from what I understand. But that being said...
Consult on my own shit.
I mean, in the sense, if he does this, what they did...
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
In his books. Because I believe he has 2 more books to release at this point. Okay? If that happens, I will question all the respect that I ever had for him as someone who can write.
He's a prolific writer.
Absolutely.
But from what I understand, they've taken immense liberty with the characters.
They for sure did.
वो किसी boy को मार दिया. वो boy जो था अभी throne पे बैठा हुआ है किताबों पे उसको मार दिया.
नहीं, Dawn की आप बात कर रहे हैं.
मैं तो नहीं कर रहा हूँ बात.
नहीं, जिस boy को मारने की आप बात कर रहे हैं ना, आप उसी तरफ जा रहे हैं.
नहीं, मैं टकली की तरफ, गंजी की तरफ, गंजू जो था ना.
Oh, that is...
The guy who's supposed to be on the throne.
That no sense.
उसको जला दिया.
नहीं, because बताओ क्यों? Because here's the thing. Acha, if you are one of the 5 people who still have not watched Game of Thrones, much of this is going to sound like gibberish. But stay with me. This concerns all of us. Okay, just stay with me.
Yeah.
Keep it here.
Yeah.
I promise you this concerns you.
Yeah.
The thing about it is this. Because I remember when this happened, right? In essence, I am not against Daenerys Targaryen going insane and burning everybody. I need everyone to understand that's not my problem.
A cyclical view of history.
Sure. Like the person that we all thought was going to save us all destroys everything. It's very interesting. There's some kind of irony in there.
Absolutely is some
right?
kind of,
But here's my thing. It wasn't earned. You didn't earn it. I do not like you. In the end, a friend of ours, the same friend that I was speaking about last time, who is a nerd, queen.
वो खातून जो थी हाँ
जो खातून है
यार आप नाम ले लो ना क्या फर्क
नहीं
पड़ता है
क्योंकि बस मिस्ट्री रहे ना थोड़ी सी अब आप लोग जाओ और जितने भी लोगों को मैं फॉलो कर रही हूँ ना इंस्टाग्राम पे सबका एक एक करके उनको हाँ ठीक है ना जो फारिग लोग बैठे हुए हैं वो हमें कमेंट्स में बताएंगे इसकी बात करेंगे ये वाली we found it right?
Then you're like maybe
लेकिन उन्होंने मुझे एक चीज बोली I remember she just out of nowhere because the thing is like I became friends with her when I was at Western.
Sure, okay.
Then I moved to another city. So we would periodically message each other. ठीक है और messages हमेशा इस तरीके से होते थे. Out of nowhere, one fine day I wake up and उनका message आया हुआ है. What did you think about the Game of Thrones finale? Bear in mind this is 1 month after the finale actually dropped.
Okay.
I let it rip.
Shoot it.
I lose my mind. And she's like, oh my god, thank God. Like, nobody else understands. I'm like, there you go. Then she actually said something to me. She's like, I have written like a 5,000 word essay type thing about this. And I'm like, Erin, she's, oh. Okay.
There you
go. And she's just like, she's like, I'm so angry about this. I worked harder at this than I did at legit essays that I've written. And I was like, I understand.
वही आपके ग्रेड अच्छे आ जाते अगर आप ये कर लेती तो
नहीं तो she's got
sorry
yeah please check yourself
sorry
ठीक है a master's thank you very much yeah okay we're not playing we're coming here right but so she was talking about this and she was just like in the end you were supposed to feel more for Cersei dying than Daenerys.
Supposed to, as in that's what the producers wanted.
That's just how it was framed. Like, you know, वो अपने भाई और दीगर के बाहों में, right? And Daenerys over here because she just killed everybody and promised that she'd kill more people, तो उनको stab कर दिया गया. It's just the framing of it because वही बात होती है ना कि when you understand film language, you understand now. You don't necessarily buy into what they're selling you. But you understand where they're going with this. Like, you can see what is being framed as what.
Sure.
If you just kind of think about, like, why is it that in the end, Cersei shows no remorse, murdering a daughter in front of her mother, is suddenly crying like a little girl, and Jaime is Bakada comforting her, and then you see their, like, bodies under the rubble. Just unto itself a very painful image.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
you then kind of understand that you're supposed to feel some kind of sympathy towards this woman. Right, now here's my thing. If you go back to the earlier seasons, that was already kind of there, but it was done in a very subtle way. She is still remorseless, right? She is still batshit. She is insane. But she talks a little bit about her childhood and she talks a little bit about the way that she was just expected to kind of, you know, adhere to this role without having any agency in it. You don't feel sorry for her. But you do feel something. That is effective storytelling.
Yes.
That is complex world building. Yes. That you're like, you are still,
well,
you are insane, but you are very interesting as a character.
The most prolific writers in history, or the most potent writers, they seldom answer any questions.
Yeah.
But they ask pertinent questions.
There you go.
Right? So even with what you're highlighting, I think the characters are developed in a way where you must ask yourself then, was this justified?
Yeah.
At what point does this become okay?
Absolutely.
You know, crippling a child or murdering someone. At what point does that become okay?
There you go.
And I suppose the line between writers and philosophers was blurred in days past because of this. Because Dostoevsky, for instance, is a Russian existential philosopher, was a prolific writer. And most of his stuff was just characters and they were just doing things. And then he would nudge you a little bit, ask you a question like, ye isne sahi kiya kam? Aap batao.
Yeah.
Or Camus or these people, right? But yeah, and even if they weren't presenting fictional characters, they were still asking questions.
Yeah.
I mentioned Marx, Nietzsche, jitne bhi, Aristotle, anyone. They were all just asking questions, right? So I think the hallmark of a proper writer is the questions and not the answers.
Absolutely.
And I feel कि ये जो आप बता रही हो इसमें जो बाद में उनने किया, which again it was a great spectacle, ate some popcorn, it was fine, right? But they weren't questions, they were more like, oh,
statements.
Now feel this.
I'm making and this is what I suppose that just to bounce off of what you said in the beginning. And see, here's the thing: I'm not saying George R. R. Martin is faultless. Okay, his works have been accused of a lot of things.
Sure,
completely understand that. Okay, but what I will say is just again, as you said, the hallmark of a great writer or at least a competent storyteller is that they will present this thing to you, right? The job is to make you feel something.
Yes.
Right? If we talk about the politics of something, I disagree vehemently with some of the great films and stories of our time, right? In the sense, like, for example, was it necessary? What kind of an image are you setting? Like, for example, we talked very lightheartedly about Rocky Chacha last time.
Yes.
But Rocky Chacha. But, please. Lekin aap us tarike se dekho that the kind of attitude that he has, this kind of machismo, sort of weird.
Machismo yet stoic and calculated.
But I'm just talking about if we are going to go into the politics of it, right? We have, all of us, I'm sure, met a lot of people in our life who do not have his bravery and do not have his courage, but the way he is, like, expecting that the first girl that he sees that he likes, she should also fawn over him, right?
Yes. There's those elements.
So in terms of the politics of it, I disagree vehemently, but it is a competent narrative in the sense that they create a world. There's a diegesis.
Yes.
Okay? We stay within the rules.
What's a die?
A diegesis is like the universe constructed within the work. Okay? So for example, in the Game of Thrones of yore, the diegesis, one of the rules was anybody can be killed.
Anybody can be killed, yes.
Okay? That was one of the things. Yes. Simultaneously, so we have sort of realism, but also dragons.
Yes.
Okay? And that's my thing.
That was, I suppose,
yes. And that way, I assign myself, I resign myself to the diegesis. If you tell me this is a world where both ice zombies and dragons exist,
yes, you're here for it.
Do you see me arguing? I am not arguing.
Yeah.
This is the world.
Yes.
But then you cannot start breaking your own rules. You said anybody can be killed. Yes. Okay? Then how is Arya Stark, who I love, Maisie Williams is a very talented young woman. I think she's a phenomenal performer. This character I like. How is it? सब मर रहे, ठीक है? से इंटेलिजेंट लोग, टाइवन लैनिस्टर अपने आप को पता नहीं क्या 30 मार खान समझ रहे हैं. He dies on sitting on a potty.
A commode.
Everybody's dying, but this girl, she survives a stab to the gut, a 3-story fall, dragon fire,
zombies,
the zombie apocalypse. She survived it all.
The nameless dude.
Why is she? मतलब बैटमैन भी क्या याद करे ये औरत
ये होती है, इसको बोलते हैं women empowerment.
No, इसको बोलते हैं bad writing. इसको but see that's my
kidding.
I understand.
Again, Mapu, this is what I meant. I was joking, obviously, but this is what I meant when I said instead of asking questions, they're pushing narratives. Yeah. They're like, and someone was like, oh, we need more women empowerment. Oh, that's fantastic. We'll just, this lady's unkillable. Broke the diegesis, broke one of the rules of the diegesis.
Now, arz ye hai ki they're not pushing narratives. They're literally taking things that kind of worked and resonated with an audience and turning that into a statement and putting, like, slapping that like a brand symbol on top of it. You know, once upon a time, that scene with Daenerys, okay, it was a pretty cool scene where she literally comes out of the fire. Okay?
Yes.
And yes, there was a huge element of empowerment in it, for sure. But that was just one aspect of it. Did you forget where she sets a woman on fire? Like, did we
forget where they kind of burned her alive? Like, they weren't expecting that she wouldn't burn.
There you go. There you go.
They're like, yaar, shit.
Like, matlab ek baat hai, like, for example, Daenerys and her Dothraki people were not nice people.
No.
That is what made the earlier seasons slightly more complex, because this moral relativism came into play, and you were just an ambiguity, and you're just like, what? So what is right? And then you realize, oh, perhaps that is one of the questions that they are asking.
Yes.
That is there such a thing as a universal right or wrong, or is it just that us versus them debate? And what do you think about it?
Yes.
Yes. And you might disagree with this woman, but courtesy Emilia Clarke and her performance,
yes,
you're just like, I want to disagree with her, but good God.
Yeah, can
That's
she
a
act?
speech.
Yeah.
That's a speech and a half.
But also results, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's one of the other questions. Do the ends justify the
The
means?
means.
These were powerful questions,
These
and they're pertinent
Yes.
for time immemorial.
Yes.
Like they're just questions that will always be relevant.
And hence, the show did not make overt. In fact, I remember him saying as much, George R. R. Martin. The show might not be overtly political, but it is political in the sense that life itself is like human beings are political, and even just like between the relationship that two people have, there is politics at play, right?
Yes.
And so it presented a very complex universe, not without flaws, but just an interesting story. And from there, I will also say that if your end goal was the protagonist, ye ladki, this woman, the one, goes insane and just burns everybody, I'm not against that.
Just build it.
Build it, earn it. Example दूँ? मिसाल, ठीक है? एक अदद और fair-haired, beautiful, light-skinned, light-eyed protagonist हैं जिनके साथ यही treatment हुई थी. एक छोटा सा show है, anime, Berserk करके.
Oh, don't take that lightly. You can't.
ठीक है ना? The internet is suddenly paying attention.
Yeah, it's not like that show isn't for everyone, and it is one of the best shows in terms of. वही वाली बात है ना, फिर यहाँ पे ये debate भी show जाती है. Anime is basically cartoons. Well, this shit isn't for children.
No,
they're not cartoons.
Oh no, please don't be showing this to your child.
Yeah.
Like,
and again, can't say enough good things about the original Berserk series. Yeah.
Yeah, not whatever that.
Yeah, what that nonsense.
But in terms of, I would say the manga definitely, and also the original, right?
Yes.
But usme, and there's a lot going on. So I don't want to say it's just about this.
No.
But and I don't want to give spoilers, but this is a spoiler, so watch at your risk. Anyway, usme there's this gentleman named Griffith.
Yes.
Yeah. We literally meet him at a time when if he were going through the hero's journey, he's already
a hero.
He's already a hero. Okay, easily you can, as an audience member, you're like, I totally get why all of these really impressive people want to follow him.
Yeah, so he's the leader of a
band of knights.
But band se murad, they're bounty hunters. And they follow him, and very, very impressive warriors just pledge their swords to him. This guy.
Yeah.
And he is a prolific fighter as well. Just aapne bola, a proper hero, like in every sense of the word.
Very affable.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes, actually, like just
beautiful.
Like they go out of their ways. The animation goes out of their way
to show you
that he's gorgeous.
He's gorgeous. Yeah. And then he becomes the ultimate antagonist.
Yes.
Within the story.
As in, he becomes a proper demon.
He actually becomes a monster.
Yes.
Okay. But the way that it is done. Okay, what he goes through, which makes him so, again, as I said, spoiler, he does something. I'm not going to spoil everything, but he does something. Something happens. He does something as a go ahead, please.
So
I will not be held responsible for this.
So the Berserk series, it revolves around two characters, Griffith and then Guts. His name is Guts.
Yeah.
So everything that Griffith is, Guts is not. Where Griffith is beautiful and poised, Guts is not that. And throughout most of the series, you are shown that Griffith is just a hair above in fighting ability than Guts. And this is shown throughout. And Guts is always just, a berserker, he's a bruiser. And Griffith always has grace, and he's just faster than everyone else. Until finally, and throughout, but and this is again what you said about building up narratives and stories. Throughout, it is highlighted that one of the streaks in Griffith's character is this extreme ownership mentality, where he feels that he is fit to lay claim to everything.
Reminds you of anybody?
Yeah, जिसके ऊपर मैं जहाँ मेरी नजर पड़े वो मेरा हो सकता है और मेरा होना चाहिए उसको. And that is how he acquires the services of Guts in his in his army, because later on it becomes an army, where Guts is told that if he fights and beats Griffith, by Griffith himself, of course, that he can leave. But if he's not able to beat him, then Guts' life is in Griffith's hand, and this is made absolutely tacit. Yeah. उसके बाद क्या होता है कि they fight and they gain fame and fortune and repute and all those things. And none of this is supernatural. They're just prolific fighters, and the Kayero, the Griffith, just can do no wrong, brilliant strategist and all those things, right? Just a prolific leader. फिर क्या होता है? Eventually, Guts goes through an existential crisis where he's like, am I Griffith's equal now? Because he's the thing is, where Griffith is leading, Guts is leading the charge. So Guts is doing all the fighting, actually. What ends up happening is Guts realizes that to become Griffith's equal, he must now forge his own path, because so far he's just been fighting for Griffith, and that he doesn't have a why, as Nietzsche would say. He has hows. He has tremendous hows. Like, it's an anime, so obviously they take liberty with reality. There's a scene just where he fights off 250 men by himself, and you're just being introduced to a powerhouse, like someone who looks obscene even on the battlefield. Like, he's just really big. He has this big sword and stuff like that. And I say that's the divide from reality, because other than that, till the final few episodes where Griffith, like, I'll get to that in a minute. It's realistic.
Yeah.
There's fiefdoms and there's kingdoms and so on and so forth. Anyways, eventually Guts then asks Griffith कि भाई अब मुझे जाना है. I want to leave the Band of the Hawk, which is what they're called. And Griffith's like, all right, fight me again. And this is the first miscalculation. This is where we start to see Griffith's fall from grace, as it were. He agrees to fight Guts, right? And he forgets that while Griffith has been doing all the politicking, Guts has been fighting. That's all he's been doing. So the gap in their fighting ability it's non-existent. Yeah. So in one swing of Guts' sword, he beats Griffith, breaks his sword, right? And again, the beauty of Griffith is such, he दिखा रहे होते हैं कि there's no scars on his body, no blemishes, except that one scar which he gets from Guts without Guts even wanting to. He just swings his sword, breaks Griffith's sword, and that's symbolic, and then leaves that one mark. That also then is the beginning of the end for Griffith's hero journey.
There you go.
And then, as Daenerys would burn everyone, that leads to Griffith's eventual downfall, where he is courting a princess to marry her to gain royal status. He instead he copulates with her without marriage, right? Matlab, he has sex with her without marriage.
He basically, and what happens is that this is, again, I suppose, is one of his many miscalculations.
Yes.
But this is something that is seen by people in the palace. Now, what's interesting is that possibly this woman and Griffith would have gotten married anyways. And he would have gotten the power of being her husband. And he's
shown as the kind of character that always has that in his mind. Yeah. Like, he's always calculated. And he never loses his footing or his equilibrium.
So the reason he does this is very much... It's a strange kind of, like, he does it almost as, like, revenge, a strange kind of revenge.
Yeah, a fracture.
Some people have said that it's like his need for dominance is shown in this way, that since he lost his footing in front of Guts, he wants to kind of regain his footing somewhere else or dominate someone.
Yes.
But what happens is, because this is observed and the princess is the princess, he is then, he undergoes a year of just the worst kind of torture you could imagine.
There we go.
And I will not describe everything that happens, but it is shown in
gruesome detail. And
again,
leading from that one scar that he receives from Guts. Yeah. Then his body is tethered, unrecognizable. And it is because when he goes through all of this, that something breaks in him. Yes.
And you have to understand, this is already a narcissist. Already someone who believes that har nayab cheez pe mera hak hai, right? Then for them to fall from grace in this way, in every way, your honor is gone. You're not beautiful anymore. You lost your, strength, physical strength. You were bested in battle.
Yes.
Which is such a thing for you.
Yes.
You lost, and also I suppose one thing we have to mention is Guts is perhaps one of the only people that he genuinely has like an affinity towards.
Yes.
He doesn't really care about the
They're just things to him, yes.
But
yes,
guts
yes.
he cares
Guts
about.
he cares
and
about.
he loses that guy.
Yeah.
Okay? And then it's a very interesting scene where he finally kind of, because the demons are speaking to him.
Yeah, so the demons are speaking to him. Usme ye hota hai ki he has this one thing. It's called the egg of the king.
Yeah.
Which is this artifact of demonic energy or what have you, and as you do. And again, listen, we were talking about dragons. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So kya hota hai ki the demons are like, okay, well, you can get unimaginable power, right? And keep in mind that he's been tortured so bad that he's never going to walk again.
Yeah.
All his tendons have been destroyed, bones broken, everything. And they've disfigured his face completely. He's never going to walk again. He's never going to move again, let alone fighting. He can't talk. His tongue is gone. Like it's immense
It's
torture,
bad,
right?
yeah.
Like if it were ever justified to do what he does later, it would be maybe in this situation. Again, a pertinent question.
That's the
like,
question.
what would you do?
It's like, well, exactly.
Like,
That's the point. What
so
would you
he's
do?
wrong. Okay, but let's just say what happens next. What happens next is the demons are like, yes, we can give you unimaginable power. Not only can you walk again, you can fight again. You'll be the king of everything. But you have to sacrifice. And sacrifice everything. Everything's a kya murad? All of your the army that you gathered, like by this point it's 100,000, 250, 500,000 people. Sacrifice them all, and he does.
He does. And boi baat hai na, it is the ultimate betrayal.
Yes.
It is slaughter of so many people.
Yes.
And then he does other stuff which I really don't want to get into. But the point is, he becomes the tyrant. He becomes a literal monster.
Yes.
But it is done in a way now, again, and from, like you said, that the question that is one of the questions being asked is, what would you do? The question in my mind was much more, can you blame him after everything that happened? Because again, they do not pull any punches. You see exactly what is done to him.
And then you see exactly what he does.
What he does. And it is very, and my thing about what happened, what they did with, and I just want to mention, because I'm sure a lot of people who've seen both of these shows, you'll be like, well, Daenerys and Griffith are nothing alike. I'm not saying that they are. In terms of characters and in terms of characterization, it's very different.
Yeah, because she happens to stumble on everything and he's like planning everything.
I think
since
it's
the beginning.
also, I think it's
he's just
also,
man. He's a guy. He's more competent.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Catch the sarcasm here, please. Thank you. But what I'm saying is that it's much more complex than that.
Yes.
It's actually much more about, you have one hero who is beginning their journey, the hero's journey, and simultaneously she's going through a feminine journey. If you don't know, the feminine journey as a narrative form is about an internal journey, like within yourself, an insular kind of, you have a deep philosophical conversation with yourself and be like,
about what is a woman?
Not just woman, it's just any character when they go through, like, so the idea is the hero's journey is an external, I'm going to go man against the world, let's go.
Yeah.
And the feminine journey is an internal kind of, stuff goes wrong, like, think Hades and Persephone. It's much more about she has to kind of come to terms with what happened, and once she does, Queen of the Underworld, right? So it's like, it's that kind of, and Daenerys kind of is going through both of these things, because there's a literal Hades and Persephone scene with her, but okay.
Sure.
The point is that she is beginning her journey. When we meet Griffith, he's already, I've been on.
Yeah.
Like, I've been, right?
Yeah.
But more so than that, I do believe that Griffith is much more calculated. He is much more cunning. He does not seem to show emotions, which Daenerys does, but there's a lot of difference. My point is, if you want to show us a protagonist that people within the Diegesis universe are rallying around, and then suddenly you want to switch that narrative and be all like, now watch him become a monster.
Yes.
You need to show me what happened that made that happen.
Yeah.
Daenerys...
Well, she was mostly just a bubbly character.
You
know what I mean? You know what I mean, though, right? Like, okay, I got a few people killed, but I'm idealistic, you know.
She is somewhat, and I have said this before about her, she is somewhat of a hypocrite, because it's like, oh, but when I do it, it's different, right?
Yes, so but you had to accentuate that.
There you go. And my thing is, she loses so much getting to Westeros.
Yes.
Her hairdresser dies and suddenly she's going to burn innocent children. This is my thing. That's not the character that is not Daenerys. I'm not saying it can't be. Build her up. earned it. आपको पता है करना क्या था? You know, when one of the
आप बता दे ना.
पता है क्या?
हाँ, वो जो करोड़पति है, आप बता दे ना.
बिल्कुल, पता है यही हो गया ना कि उससे कोई औकात है नहीं मेरी कि मैं ये बोलूं. लेकिन चलो करते.
बोलने में क्या है?
लेकिन एक बात है ना, देखिए आप दोनों मिस्टर डी एंड द अदर डी, आप लोग बहुत दानिश्वर, ठीक है ना, आप लोग बहुत मतलब आप बहुत, ठीक है, बहुत ज़्यादा ही कुछ भी, ठीक है. लेकिन इसमें मसला ये है कि when Instagram is doing a better job of writing your story for you, I would recommend.
Yes.
ठीक है ना. मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि आपको दिखाना ये था कि see she comes into Westeros, okay, सब like तबाही हर तरफ, not even flinching, I'm not even batting, like look at me checking out my manicure, my dragon's gonna burn everybody.
Yeah.
When and I forget exactly which season this happens in, but she finds herself in a position when she is a captive of the new sort of Khal, the Dothraki, right?
Yeah.
My thing was, if your end goal was that she goes insane and burns everybody, why not make her go through some stuff? I'm not saying make her suffer, but I'm saying make her powerless for a bit, so that thing inside of her gets more and more. And so by the time she comes to Westeros, she's like, no, I will just burn everything because I'm not taking a chance anymore. Nobody's off limits. Like, let's just everybody die.
Well, okay. Well, yes. And now we've discussed this for long enough. But I suppose then there's two questions. I've forgotten one, obviously, because I'm old. But why does this upset you so much? Because, okay, there has to be a logical explanation, no? Like, okay, ठीक है, you're so upset about this. Why?
No, you know what, I understand.
Because you remember, I was
you were like, but then you remember the question I asked you. I was like, I totally get that. Because, okay, so the thing he said to me was, he's like, it's just a show.
Yes.
Right? Which I understand. And then I was like, yeah, but remember how angry you were with the final Avengers movie?
Yeah, yes, I was.
And I suppose here's the answer for everybody, because I know a lot of you are going to be like, it's just a show, calm down, girl.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Right? Here's the thing.
Podcast because जिसके बारे में बनानी होती है, मतलब.
नहीं, मतलब topic चाहिए होता है.
क्या मतलब है?
मसाला नहीं डालेंगे तो आप लोग देखोगे क्यों, ठीक है? लेकिन my point is this. It is just a show for people who just want to make money out of it.
Yes.
For the people who are consuming it, it's not just a show. And what I mean by this is simple. Storytelling has been part of our collective global culture ever since we have existed.
Especially of this culture.
Absolutely.
Of Pakistan,
for sure.
and then also since
South Asia.
Yeah.
But I would also say many Western cultures. Yes. Storytelling is like, think of even contemporary usme sense mein. George R. R. Martin cites Tolkien as one of his inspirations.
Yeah.
The gentleman who wrote Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all of that, right? Yeah. So if you look at that, right, storytelling is an important part of our global heritage, and hence it is an important part of our everyday. And hence the stories are not just anything for us.
No.
It is, see, Robert McKee, who is someone who has taught many of the great Hollywood screenwriters how to write stories, he said this in his book. He said that what is entertainment but reveling in the spectacle of a story?
Powerful.
And that's what it is. And hence, like, for example, I might be like, I'm living for this Avengers movie. But because you had come from a different place, you had read the story before, done in a different way.
Yes.
So for you, it's not just a movie.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
For me, similarly, the Game of Thrones thing, I saw a lot of parallels within Game of Thrones, even prior to this. Remember when the Unsullied were revealed, and I was like, oh my god, this is like, there's stories about such an army existing within South Asian culture.
Where exactly?
I don't remember exactly where, but there's this book by Alice Albania. It's called Empires of the Indus. It charts the Indus River and all the empires.
Where they were like
and
that?
So, yeah.
Yeah, Unsullied.
It was like an army of eunuchs.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And she speaks about this. And my thing was, I remember when I saw all of that, it really resonated with me as a powerful narrative and a powerful story. And see, at the end of the day, stories are powerful, particularly because they have the ability to touch you in ways that you didn't even think were possible, right? Harry Potter is not just a book for a 10-year-old who thinks that they are worthless and then reads about this boy who was worthless until he wasn't, right? So that's kind of my thing. But for people who are seeking to use this in a means to make money, it is absolutely just a show.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah.
But what I love about this particular, because I think that this is a very interesting moment in our lives, because they loved how people were just lapping this up until people turned on them, and then they're just like, it's just a show, calm down. Like
The same
they
people.
themselves, I'm like, no, you were happy when all of us were like, yes, like queen, descend from the sky, burn everything, right?
Yeah.
But now that we're like, not my Daenerys, you're
That's a thing.
you're like, it's just not my Dani, that's a hashtag.
Okay, all
My
right.
people,
All right.
the internet, we will create a movement out of anything,
Sure.
which is terrifying. But okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's ultimately why it upsets me.
It does.
You know, right? Like even within Pakistan, I will say this to a lot of people. Nobody called Alpha Bravo Charlie just a show. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
It was one of the first productions that was funded by ISPR.
Okay.
And the goal was, because Yashwant Mansoor, this is one of his most renowned works, and the goal was to show people exactly what an army man goes through. So you see them from when they are recruited, how they train, they become friends. All of them are coming from different backgrounds. One of them, his father is in the army, but he's from very humble background. One of them is like a really rich young man. And all of them change physically, mentally, emotionally. One of them does not have access to his limbs by the end of it because of frostbite at the Siachen Glacier. One of them gets caught in the genocide in the Balkans and dies because he goes in the United Nations troops. It is, and the thing, when I say this, because, and Toni Morrison said this, who's one of my favorite writers, she's like, I tell my students that it's not a black father, it's your black father. It's not a black baby, it's your black baby. So similarly, the most competent storytellers have a way of doing that. It's not a Dani, she's your Dani. She was yours. And then when they did whatever they did to her, do you see why then this outrage becomes more?
Yes.
You get it, because you're like, but she was mine. Like, this was mine. And then you just decided.
Perhaps the outrage is intensified when people are not able to articulate.
Yeah.
Like you've just done, mashallah se.
Yeah.
This is a thing.
Yeah.
I've said this often, that the most effective means of communication is stories.
Absolutely.
इसमें तो कोई मैं समझता हूँ दो राय नहीं है. Think about all the greatest books in creation are stories.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's probably why then you are so upset about it.
And
I wasn't thinking about it in that.
Yeah. But I feel like all of us कोई ना कोई एक कहानी है जिसके साथ ये किसी ने किया है और हम लोग बैठे हुए हैं जिस दिन. अब जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल अगर हम लोग एवेंजर्स की बात करना शुरू करें ना, तो मेरे भाई के जो रंग आप लोग देखोगे, the spectrum that you will see,
there's only going to be one thing.
Yeah, he's not going to be red. It's going to be rage, right?
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, was very happy with the Avengers movie. I was just thinking, तो अच्छी है, and you're just like, but I'm like, is my childhood a joke to you? And I'm like, no. But like, that's what I'm saying. Ki at the end of the day, this is why a bad interpretation of anything. It could be a favorite novel.
अच्छा हम अपनी the other thing the question याद आ गया, वो मुझे question खटक रहा था. But there was a reason why they did this, right? These guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the gossip is.
Yeah.
कि ये दो हैं, D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. अच्छा, do you want me to make you hate them a little bit more?
Oh, it is
Remember
called
that
P.S. I Hate You.
Wolverine movie?
Yeah.
Remember that Wolverine movie?
Yeah.
And this was not possible. I didn't think anybody could make me hate Wolverine. But remember that movie that came out? X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh yeah, the one with the Deadpool one.
There you go.
Yeah, that one.
One of these people is responsible for that. There you go.
Why did they let him do this?
There you go. Now you are on my side. Because now we hate him. But these two gentlemen wanted to make a particular show about, so the American Civil War, if you remember, one of the outcomes of it was that slavery was outlawed across the United States of America. Okay? They wanted to do a show where, what if the Confederate South had won that war? Okay. And in when you live in when you're not in North America, you don't understand the full extent of the divisiveness that exists there.
The potency, yeah.
The potency.
And you know why, Mom? Yeah. I don't understand why, because यहाँ पे slavery थी. And people just... Oh. Yeah, you're right.
अगला topic ये होना चाहिए.
नहीं, अल्लाह रहम करे. हाँ, we could talk about it, but it was very open कि यहाँ पे slavery थी.
बिल्कुल थी.
And for some reason there's just a blotch in our psyche where that conversation should have been कि यार
Absolutely.
यार भाई बात सुनो, हाँ वहाँ पे उनने बहुत बहुत बुरा हुआ कालों के साथ. मैल्कम एक्स और मार्टिन लूथर किंग ने बहुत अच्छा किया. माया एंजेलो ने सबने बहुत अच्छा किया, बड़ा जबरदस्त.
What about you?
यहाँ पे भी हुआ था.
ये Milan Kundera is a writer.
Yeah.
He wrote The Unbearable Lightness of Being, which is a very interesting book and one of Daniel Day-Lewis's finest performances. Okay? He said this: the struggle between people and power is the struggle between memory and forgetting.
God damn.
that really resonates. So, there's a blotch. It's almost as if it didn't happen. And some of the great, just to talk about storytelling one more time, some of the greatest writers, chief among them, Mr. Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Mr. Marquez.
Mr. Marquez. He would often talk about this.
About forgetting.
About the fact that we just don't remember certain things. But what I just want to mention is that it is incredibly insensitive for you to say, what if they were still,
Yes.
Because I think that
in bondage
and in that way. And
that's
their
heavy. That's
humanity,
heavy, yeah.
it's just, and like I think that people, because I feel like when you're distanced from it, I didn't fully understand it until we moved to Canada and I made friends with people from there and they spoke about it and I was like, oh my god, this is like,
it's systematic.
I can't even begin to, right?
Yeah.
So needless to say, my people,
of
the internet.
Yes.
The internet showed up and they were just like, do you want us to destroy your whole career? I think not. Right? But basically the backlash was there. And so from what I understand, the show was cancelled.
Achha.
For once, cancel culture actually did something.
Something good. Cancelled something.
But the show was cancelled. और फिर बस. तब से अब आप ये बात मैं छोटी सी चीज बोलना चाहती हूँ.
Think about how whimsical these people are. And petty, yeah.
ठीक है, क्योंकि HBO, i.e. the network, i.e. the suits, came to them and said कि भाई ये एपिसोड थोड़े कम हो रहे हैं, आप 12 ले लो.
हाँ, 6 कम है, 12 ले लो. लास्ट सीजन के लिए Game of Thrones के लिए.
हाँ, थोड़ा 12 ले लो.
Yeah.
They said no. क्यों? Why? What do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean no? And they decide, and then leaving the Starbucks coffee cups in the shot.
In what shot?
ये आपको पता ही नहीं?
नहीं.
एक अदद शॉट था, वो बड़ी इंटेंस सी कॉन्वर्सेशन हो रही है, वहाँ पे स्टारबक्स के कॉफी कप्स पड़े हुए. मैंने बोला यार, you guys didn't care. You didn't care. क्या हो क्या रहा है? पहले 3 एपिसोड्स तक मैंने बोला अभी बिल्डअप होगा, अभी बिल्डअप होगा.
क्या देखो, when we don't check narcissism ना, तो फिर narcissism is not something you can contain. ये तो एक इशू है अपनी जगह पे ना. वही वाली बात है ना कि I think North American proverb है कि when the axe entered the forest, the tree said, look, the handle is one of us. ये वाली बात है ना, just like कि हाँ इतना narcissism तो हर किसी के पास होता है. सर, you don't understand, इतना narcissism बहुत कम लोगों के पास होता है जो मतलब एक और सीन लिखते हैं, just like बेहोश हो गई, right? And this guy, think about the kind of power this guy imagines he has.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? In fact, when there was a lot of backlash, and there was, fans were livid.
Yes.
Because it was just, listen, you cannot convince me that the backlash was not earned. They just butchered their own work, right?
Yeah.
But Behral, the fans were angry. So actors were just like, but D.B. Boyce and David Benioff are geniuses. I'm like, why is that? First of all, nobody said that they weren't.
Yeah.
Only me. I was the only one. I was sitting, I was like, they're not idiots. They're not geniuses, they're idiots, right? Whatever. मैं वाहिद थी और मैं उर्दू में बोल रही थी, तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि आपको समझ भी आया होगा मैंने क्या बोला, ठीक है? लेकिन why is that your immediate defense? Why do you jump to their defense? Why do you think, oh, so they did do something wrong? क्या हुआ? आप gossip बताओ. But yeah. So that's my issue with like storytelling.
छोटा कैमरा है.
खत्म हो गया?
नहीं खत्म तो नहीं हुआ, लेकिन ये मतलब
जा रहा है अनकरीब.
हाँ, मेरे ख्याल में थोड़ी देर में चीखे मारेगा, क्या चाह रहे हो?
या तो मेरा outrage आ गई.
That was it. अब नहीं.
अब आप कर.
I यार हाँ, the stories are very important and they need to be defended as such.
Yeah.
जो I suppose I could just piggyback off the points I was making in the last podcast where we need to understand our agency. Everyone who felt this way उनको मतलब they could again raise their voice in unison and actually make it difficult for these people if such a thing has been done.
But and I suppose if we want to go on like a positive stream, in this one instance, you did.
Right.
You cancelled that show. The Game of Thrones prequel, I don't know if these people are going to get a chance to do it or not.
Sure.
And your voice was heard.
Yeah.
And I suppose Russell Brand once said this about the girls who were cutting their wrists, God forbid, because of One Direction. He's like, see, we can belittle them. The point is that they believe in this.
That's it.
That's it. And वही बात है ना, अब apathy किधर है? Why don't we believe in actual social change? Let's figure that out.
Yeah.
Because once we do,
then we can change, right?
We can do it.
Then we can change. लेकिन वही वाली बात है ना बापू, it's all well and good, and I suppose this is another. Please stop kicking the mic again. And and then I suppose we can start having this conversation again. Because of the limitations of our equipment, we're going to have to have it another time, and I suppose we're going to have to keep having it until more people listen.
Yeah.
We can start having a conversation about mental health, where
absolutely,
you can't, especially in our muashara, Pakistan ka muashara, you can't say I don't even think you should be allowed to get away with saying, "Oh, get over it," like, "Oh, grow up," when people are doing things like that, because there's obvious fractures in their psyche, and we need to talk about that, and the conversation needs to be perpetual, it needs to be constant, and they need to be told that they are not alone, and that they are loved.
Absolutely.
Like, far too often we start saying and thinking and doing things because we think people have a cushy life. You don't know what a person's going through. You know what I mean?
But if you were to empathize,
just give them some time to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that was not
heavy.
Yeah, that was not so much hating. It was more just.
हम लोग नहीं hate कर रहे हैं.
नहीं बाबू बस यही नाम है, मैंने decide कर लिया.
हाँ, सारा वो branding वगैरह कर लिया हमने, तो अब आप लोगों को यही नजर आएगा. और by the way, ये pillows जो है ना, ये भी थोड़े intentional हैं, तो इनको भी जरा इन पे भी आप नजर डालिएगा. हाँ, ठीक है.
अब से ऐसे बैठा करेंगे.
ये
please sponsor us.
There is no.
I don't.
ठप्पा नहीं है, लग सकता है आपका. आ जाओ.
We don't know you, but we would like to. Okay, enough.
There we go.
All right. That has been our second mic ke paas aa jaun. That has been our second episode, and like, share, subscribe on the links that have been provided for Instagram, YouTube पे तो
सब कुछ नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन में सारी लिंक्स हैं.
ये जो है, और अगर आप Spotify पे सुन रहे हैं तो बड़ी मेहरबानी आपकी. और क्या बोल सकता हूँ आपको. नहीं, follow us on YouTube as well. All the numbers count, and
बहन की दुआ लगेगी आपको.
मेरी भी दुआ लगेगी.
भाई की भी दुआ लगेगी.
and yeah, we'll see you in the next one, inshallah.
Nafiz.
Assalamu alaikum. The camera's off. Right, I'm gonna turn this off now.